I'm author Sarah A. Chrisman.
And I'm Gabriel Chrisman.
And today we're discussing a quote from one of our favorite authors. This is Robert A. Heinlein. And the quote comes from his book, Time Enough for Love.
And actually from a part of that book that gets called The Notebooks of Lazarus Long.
Right. This is basically Heinlein sort of invoking his inner Benjamin Franklin.
Yes. And this is a quote that I definitely believe in. And I actually used this one to introduce a leadership class I had to teach at college.
Yeah.
So this one is, a human being should be able to change a diaper, plan an invasion, butcher a hog, con a ship, design a building, write a sonnet, balance accounts, build a wall, set a bone, comfort the dying, take orders, give orders, cooperate, act alone, solve equations, analyze a new problem, pitch manure, program a computer, cook a tasty meal, fight efficiently, die gallantly. Specialization is for insects.
Yes, and we both are very, very much in favor of this quote.
Yes.
We can't necessarily do every single thing in the list. Very few people can.
It is a wonderful target to aspire to.
It is a wonderful target to aspire to, exactly.
And I think that the idea of being able to be versatile, to be flexible, to have broad, wide-ranging skills and the confidence to engage every part of the world is a really optimistic and helpful view of humanity.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that the idea that we all should aspire to this diversity of skills is very important.
Yes.
That we're not insects. Yes, the world does need specialists, but those specialists should not limit their entire lives to one thing.
Absolutely. No, the idea is to encourage people to really use all the different aspects of their intelligence and their being, and that you can't really be a good, well-rounded human without engaging all those aspects.
Right.
That no one is going to have a full life by just concentrating on one narrow arena.
Right. And learning different skills helps you bring those skills to bear on whatever problem you're trying to solve.
Yes, and this is, when I learned how to fix bicycles, it ended up teaching me the mechanical logic and the mechanical understanding of how to work with materials of any sort and build a kitchen like this. Mm-hmm. And all of that, is just from engaging with the world and trying things out and practicing new skills and trying to learn things. And I think that this is also part of the reason that it's really important for everyone to understand that education is not something that happens exclusively in school for a short part of people's lives. Mm-hmm. Learning and education is something which is continuous and should be absolutely non-stop until we die.
Right.
I mean, it is a constant part of human nature to be constantly learning.
And these skills, they transfer over to a certain extent, because learning how to butcher a food animal teaches you about anatomy, and it teaches you about how biological organisms work. And
well, it also gives you different perspective on the other skills you may have and the other tasks you may be doing. Mm-hmm. It may seem like, basically building a kitchen might have nothing to do with teaching students at university. But actually, I end up with ideas and perspectives and things like that just from all the different things I'm doing in my life that all do come to bear on everything else that I'm doing. It all is related.
And, practicing cooking tasty meals all the time, that helped us build the kitchen, because it's a far more useful kitchen than it would be if we were not the ones using it. Mm-hmm. And actually, you can often tell when you look at a house or other building, you can tell if the people who are actually using it had much say in the design and engineering of the building itself, because the buildings that are the most usable and that are the most livable are the ones where people actually living and using these buildings were involved in the process of designing them.
Mm-hmm. And it's, again, just because you can bring this sort of knowledge and learning to bear on all aspects of your life.
Right.
And being able to engage with all that learning and being able to then put it into practice, put it into use, is a huge part of it, and a huge part of just the ability to live a complete life.
Right. And in terms of how the user interface with these places comes into play in designing them, things like the cooling shelf by our oven. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't have thought of that if I hadn't had so many situations where I thought, no, where can I put this pan to cool? Where can I put this pan to cool?
Right.
And so when we designed the kitchen, Gabriel built me a cooling shelf.
And again, having the sort of idea that comes from one area that we can then apply through another area and another set of skills means that all of these things that we've learned, then we can basically adapt into the rest of our lives and put into practice.
Right. Learning and studying history helps us understand the present a lot better. And it helps us, to a certain extent, predict the future. Because if you know the past, you can predict the future to a certain extent. Because all human history is cyclical. Humans are humans. They keep making the same stupid mistakes over and over again. And if you see how they made those stupid mistakes one time, or more often 50 times,
you'll know how it's likely to go the next time.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. And, I have this personal theory that Cassandra in the myth of Troy, the Trojan princess who predicted the fall of Troy, it wasn't because of...
And that no one believed.
And that nobody believed her. I have this personal theory that the reason she was able to predict the fall of Troy was not so much because she had a love affair with the god Apollo who granted her the gift of prophecy. I think it was just that she was one of the world's first historians, and she'd studied enough history to see what was going on and to predict how it was going to go. But yes, unfortunately, the trouble is nobody believed her.
Right.
Because not enough people study history, and they should. So just because your specific job happens to be fill in the blank, don't make that fill in the blank your whole world and your whole life and just spend the rest of your time vegetating in front of a screen.
Broaden out and think about new things to learn, new areas of knowledge to explore, new things to read about, and then try to put that into practice. Try to do things, make things.
Yeah, when people ask me what I read, I was like, well, that's a big, big topic. I read a lot.
Yes.
And so asking me what I read is kind of like saying, what's in an ocean? Well, there are a few things in an ocean.
There's a few things in there, yes. Right. So.
And that's what makes the ocean a richly diverse place in terms of things that live there. And studying and learning a bunch of different skills is what makes us unique individuals and well-rounded ones.
Absolutely.
So, go out and try to learn a new skill. If not today, just soon.
Or just read something about a new skill and imagine trying to learn it.
Well, the one leads to the other.
It does.
If you read about it, you're more likely to do it. So, I think that's our call to action today. Get a book.
Yes. Read something new and different.
Read something new and different. And on that note, we hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a nice thumbs up. And remember to tell your friends about my books. Happy reading!